Once upon a time, in a small village in Anambra State, Nigeria, there lived a widow named Agnes. She was a poor woman, but hardworking, determined to give her two daughters a better life. Her daughters, Sandra and Anita, were in secondary school. Sandra, the older one, was calm and quiet. She was very smart and always helped her mom with the housework. Anita, the younger one, was lively and full of energy. She was funny, talkative, and also very intelligent. Anita stood out in school. Teachers loved her for her brilliance, and she often represented the school in competitions. Whenever she returned home with prizes, people in the village would praise her. The people in the village often stopped her mother, Agnes, to tell her how Anita would be the light of the family. Deep inside, she wished she could send both her daughters to the university, but she knew she couldn't afford it. The thought of choosing between her daughters weighed heavily on her heart. When the time came to decide who would go to the university, the villagers' words rang in Agnes' ears. They had said Anita would do great things. She had to make a choice. Agnes decided that Anita should go. She sat Sandra down one evening under the mango tree in their yard. Sandra, she began softly, "You know I love you and your sister equally. Ever since your father passed, I have tried my best to ensure that both of you have good education. But my daughter, you know I don't have enough money to send both of you to school. I've thought about it and I think Anita should go to the university. She is already known for her brilliance, and with God's help, my daughter, this girl will succeed and lift us out of poverty." Sandra stared at her mother, her heart sinking. "Mama, what about me? I also want to go to school. I want to become a doctor someday." Agnes held her hand tightly. "My child, I know this is hard, but we all have to make sacrifices for the family. Anita will help us when she's done. I promise you, one day, your dreams will also come true." Sandra wanted to argue, but her mother's tired face stopped her. She knew Agnes had been through a lot since their father passed away. She nodded slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Okay, Mama, if it's for the family, I will do it." That night, Anita overheard their conversation. She felt guilty and went to Sandra's room. "Sister," she said, holding Sandra's hand, "thank you for this. I will never forget what you're doing for me. I promise I will make you and Mama proud." Sandra managed a small smile. "Just don't forget us when you succeed." I won't. God forbid. I will never forget my family. I'll help Mama with chores so that you don't have to do everything yourself alone today, okay? And I promise also, I will study hard and finish quickly so that you can also have a chance to go to school. The day Anita was to leave for Lagos, the family gathered at the village motor park. Anita had been admitted to the University of Lagos to study accounting, and it was her first time leaving home. Sandra hugged her tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Study hard, Anita," Sandra said. "Make us proud." I will never forget what you've done for me. God bless you. Thank you for sacrificing for me. I promise you, I'll be back and you can go ahead and pursue your education of becoming a doctor, okay?" As the bus drove off, Sandra and Agnes stood by the roadside waving. They returned home quietly, their hearts heavy yet hopeful. They knew life would be harder now. To pay Anita's school fees, Agnes and Sandra took on difficult jobs. They worked on farms, carried heavy loads at construction sites, and sold fruits by the roadside. Sandra's hand became rough from hard work, but she didn't complain. Whenever she saw other girls from her school leaving for their universities, her heart ached. One day, she told her mother, "Mama, sometimes I feel bad. You know, all my classmates are going to school and I'm here working. It's not fair. Please, it's not fair." Agnes placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "My child, it's for a good reason. Before you know it, Anita is done with school And you can also go and pursue your dream, please. Sandra nodded, wiping her tears. Well, she's my family and she's my sister. It's worth it. I'll wait. Together, they continued to work each day, hoping and praying for Anita's success. The sacrifices they made were heavy, but their faith in Anita's promise kept them going. After years of hard work, Anita finally graduated from the university. It was a joyful day for the family. Agnes and Sandra were proud of her achievement, hoping their sacrifices had been worth it. But before they could rest, Anita brought up another plan. Mama, Anita said one evening as they sat in their small sitting room, I want to start my master's degree immediately. See, if I get my master's, I can get a better job quickly. Agnes frowned. Anita, master's degree? Hey, how will we afford that? We are still paying off debts from your first degree. Anita smiled confidently. Mama, this is not about money. It's about investing in the future. I want to study in the United Kingdom abroad. That way, I will stand out and find a good job faster. Abroad. Hey, God, this girl wants to kill me. This girl wants to kill me. Mama, calm down. No, you want to kill me. Anita, you want to travel abroad. Have you thought about how expensive it is? Hey, God, this child, your eyes is always on big things. Anita, studying abroad is very expensive. How will we manage that? Mama, Anita said, leaning forward. We have to think big. You've always told us to dream big. This is my chance. I need your support now, please. Agnes didn't know what to do. She loved both her daughters, but didn't want to disappoint Anita. Later that night, she came up with a plan. The next morning, she called Sandra. Sandra, I've been thinking really deeply. The only way we can afford Anita's dream is if you marry a wealthy man. You know, his bride price will help us send that to the UK. Sandra was shocked. Mama, what are you saying? You want me to marry someone I don't even know just to send Anita abroad? For what now? You promised that when she comes back, I'll be able to go and further my education. Now you're telling me, why am I always the scapegoat? Sandra, why are you talking like this? Are you saying I'm always, it's not fair now? It's for the family. Anita's success will help us. See, once she finishes this master's, at least they say it's just 1.5 years. I think 2 years. When she's done, before you know it, everything. Mama, have you even thought about my happiness? You are demanding too much. I don't think I will do it. And you want me to marry someone for money? Agnes tried to convince her, but Sandra refused. So Agnes went to her brother, Uncle Obi, for help. Obi, Agnes said, you need to talk to Sandra. She's being stubborn. This is the only way to secure Anita's future and get out of poverty. Uncle Obi agreed. Together, they found a wealthy man named Emeka who was looking for a wife. Sandra didn't like him at all. He was older and had a bad reputation in the village. But Agnes and Uncle Obi pressured her. Sandra, I know. Think of the family. Anita's success is your success. Tomorrow when she's all over the place, you two will stand by her side as her sister. And people will hear about how you sacrifice for your sister and they'll be very proud of you. Sandra, please do it for us. Do it for your sister. See, look at her face. Look at how sad she is. You can't expect her to go and get a job with her first degree. She won't get enough money. Mama, please, Please. After many sleepless nights, Sandra finally agreed. The wedding was rushed and Emeka paid a large bride price. He also brought many gifts, which Agnes and Uncle Obi sold to raise money. With the money, Anita traveled to the UK. Sandra's life with Emeka turned into a nightmare. He was an alcoholic who came home drunk almost every night. He would beat her and call her names. Sandra tried to endure, but the pain was too much. One day, she packed her belongings and ran back to her mother's house. Her face was covered in scars. When Agnes saw her, she cried, Sandra, Hey, my child, come. What happened to you? Mama, see what you have turned my life into. I can't stay with Emeka anymore. Mama, I can't marry him again. Except you want me to die, just kill me. Go into the kitchen, take a knife and just kill me. Because I am not going there. That man has been beating me from the very first day we got married. What is it? See, Mama, I'm not going back. Agnes hugged her, tears streaming down her face. My child, I'm sorry. I never wanted this for you. I just thought that maybe, giving your sister an education would take us out of this poverty. Please, I'm sorry. Please, okay. You are not going back. Just sit down here. Please. Meanwhile, there was no news from Anita. Her phone numbers didn't work, and no one knew her whereabouts. Years passed, and life became harder for Sandra and Agnes. One day, Sandra's friend Oluchi came to visit, holding a newspaper. She handed it to Sandra with a smile. Congratulations! So you didn't want to tell me after all our friendship all these years? Well, if you don't want to tell me, God has finally exposed everything. Congratulations, look at your sister. She's doing well. Sandra stared at the headline. Anita Obike, new manager at global auditing firm. She couldn't believe her eyes. Mama, where are you? Come, Mama, come. Mama, look. Sandra shouted, showing the newspaper to Agnes. Agnes was shocked. So Anita is alive and well all these years, and she never bothered to look for us? Oluchi was shocked, but didn't say a word. She gave them directions to Anita's office in Ikoyi, Lagos. The next day, Agnes and Sandra borrowed money to travel to Lagos. When they arrived at the tall glass building, they were directed to Anita's office. The secretary let them in because they told her they were her family. They were directed to her office. Anita was surprised to see them. What are you doing here? She asked, frowning. Anita. Hey, Agnes began. Is this how life is? Did you even bother to check on us? We tried your phone number. We were worried. We called all the numbers you gave to us, but none of them were going through. And now we are here. You cannot even welcome us properly. And you're shouting. Mama, please, I don't have time for all this. What do you want? What is it? Anita, well, we have been through so much. And you know that we had to marry your sister off so that we can pay your school fees. So, Mama, what is it? Well, your sister's marriage was a disaster. She had to run for her life. Anita interrupted. Mama, if Sandra could not keep her home, do not blame it on me. It's not my problem. Sandra, Sister Sandra, how many books did you read before getting married? Did you learn about your husband's likes and dislikes? My sister, you know that there is no perfect marriage in this world. You should have at least stayed. Which one are you people coming to blame me as if I was the one who chased her out of her husband's house? Please, nobody said you were. But the way you are sounding, you are saying it, making it look as if I was the one that told her to leave her husband's house. What is it? Sandra's fist clenched, but Agnes gave her a look, silently asking her to stay calm. Anita, let Sandra stay with you. She can help around the house. Anita laughed coldly. Help around the house? What about her useless husband? She should have stayed there now and tried harder. Sandra couldn't hold back anymore. Anita, do you even care about what we have been going through because of you? Anita smirked. If you want to stay in my house, well, you will work for it. No work, no pay. Sandra's heart sank. She had no choice. She agreed to work for Anita, and so did Agnes, because they knew that going back to the village was only a ridicule for them. From that day, they became maids in Anita's house, cooking and cleaning, while Anita enjoyed a comfortable life. Sandra often wondered if the sacrifices had been worth it, but she kept her pain to herself, knowing there was no turning back. Anita treated them like strangers, not family. She gave Sandra all the house chores and made sure it was hard work. Sandra, Anita said one morning before she got ready for work. You see this washing machine here? It's not for you. Please, wash the clothes by hand. Sandra looked at her sister shocked. But Anita, why Why can't I use the machine? It's here to make things easier, right? Anita frowned. Because I said so. And make sure everything is clean before I return. Don't give me any excuses, or you will leave this house. And you know what will happen? You will sleep on the road. And when you get to the village, people will laugh at you. That's your business. Sandra nodded silently, holding back tears. Anita didn't trust them either. She installed a CCTV camera in the kitchen and connected it to her iPhone. She checked it often to see what they were doing, especially when Sandra cooked. One day, Sandra and Agnes finished cooking, but weren't allowed to eat. They sat in the corner waiting. When Anita came home in the evening, she sat at the dining table and ate a meal while they watched. Only after she was done did they get permission to eat. Why do we have to wait like this? Sandra whispered to her mother one evening. Hush, Agnes said, we don't want trouble. Anita also made sure Sandra called her Madam Anita. She would introduce Sandra to her friends as a maid, never as her sister. Hi guys, this is my housemaid Sandra, Anita said once, pointing at her. Well, she's not very smart, but she does her best. At least she can cook. Sandra's cheek burned with shame, but she stayed quiet. One day, Anita's boyfriend Frank came to visit. He was a kind man who greeted Sandra and Agnes warmly. Good afternoon, Sandra. How are you? Oh, I'm fine, thank you, sir. Sandra replied, surprised by his kindness. Frank smiled and started a conversation. He asked her about her life, her family, and how long she had been working for Anita. Sandra hesitated, unsure of what to say. Anita had told him their parents were dead, and she didn't want to get in trouble. Anita came into the living room and saw them talking. Her face tightened. After Frank left, Anita pulled Sandra aside. What were you talking about with Frank? Anita asked, her voice sharp. It's nothing important. He was just being polite. My friend, don't lie to me. If you ever talk to him again, I will throw you and Mama out of this house. Do you hear me? Sandra nodded, her eyes downcast. Yes, Madam Anita. Months later, Anita and Frank got married. It was a small, quiet wedding with only a few guests. Frank's family and some of Anita's friends. She told Frank that her parents had died in a car accident, so she didn't invite Agnes or Sandra's family. Instead, she paid strangers to act as her uncle and aunt. On the wedding day, Sandra and Agnes worked as servants. They cleaned, arranged the venue, and served the guests. Anita didn't let them talk to anyone. She kept a close eye on them the entire time. See, stay in the kitchen, Anita ordered before the guests arrived. I don't want to see you anywhere else. Do you understand? Do you understand? Yes, we understand. As the wedding went on, Sandra couldn't help but feel the weight of humiliation. Her sister was living a lie, pretending their family didn't exist. When the day ended, Sandra and Agnes cleaned up while Anita and Frank left for their new home. Sandra sat on the floor in the kitchen, exhausted and heartbroken. Mama, how did we get here? Everything we did to make Anita become somebody. Look at her today. Look at how she's mistreating us. Agnes hugged her tightly. Don't worry. We will survive. We always do. But deep down, they both wondered how long they could endure this life of shame. Anita soon gave birth to a baby boy. She hired her mom, Agnes, and her sister, Sandra, to work as a maid and a nanny. But the salaries Anita paid them were too small to cover their needs. Most of the money went to transportation and feeding because Anita lived far from them. Anita had gotten her mother and sister a local house in the slum. She didn't want them around her family. One day, Sandra tried to talk to Anita about it. Please, Anita. Hey, who is Anita? Oh, sorry, Madam Anita. The money you give us is barely enough. After transport and food, there is nothing left. And you know that the area where we are living and where you are living, the distance is just too much. And it's stressful. Please, It's a slum. Please, I'm begging you. Please, can you increase our money? Anita's eyes flashed with anger. Oh, God. See this life, eh? Some people are very ungrateful. You will do everything for them. They will call it local. When there are people under the bridge looking for where to live, somebody will tell you that the house you got for them is local, and yet you are the one paying the rent for them. People are very ungrateful. Sandra, or is it Sister Sandra I should call you? If you don't like it, you can leave. But if you dare go back to the village, you will face more shame than you can handle. You better think with your brain. I don't know if it's even working. Sandra kept quiet. Going back to the village wasn't an option. Everyone believed they were living a good life because of Anita's wealth. They couldn't face the humiliation of returning empty-handed. The stress of the work and the long hours took a toll on Agnes. She woke up very early every day to meet Anita's demands. One morning, she collapsed and had to be taken to the government hospital. Sandra stayed by her side, worried about how they would pay the hospital bills. Sandra decided to ask Anita for help. That evening, Anita was sitting in the living room with Frank and the baby. Sandra approached cautiously. Madam Anita, please ma, well done. Madam Agnes is sick. She needs money for surgery. The doctor says it's urgent. Frank looked concerned. Surgery? What happened? She collapsed from too much stress, sir. Frank immediately pulled out his phone and transferred some money to Sandra. Anita, however, barely looked up. I'm so sorry. That Madam Agnes, she works really hard. Despite her old age, darling. You know, young people of these days, they will be complaining. It's hard, it's hard, it's hard. This woman comes all the way from that area. Where do you people live again? Ajegule. Yes, from all the way from Ajegule, that slum. They wake up very early to come all the way to Ikoyi. May God bless her. May God heal her. May God protect her. Oh, Father, keep protecting Madam Agnes. That woman. She will live to reap the fruit of her labor. Don't worry. As soon as I get to work, I will send you. I just did a transfer. I will send you some money. Sandra, sorry. Greet Madam Agnes for me. Don't worry. And don't frown. Don't cry. She'll be well, okay? But when Frank went upstairs to change, Anita turned to Sandra with a cold stare. Let me warn you. I know you did this on purpose because you know my husband is kind and he will help you. But not me. You know I'm not well. You know. Let me warn you. Don't ever bother me about your mother again. She could die for all I care. At least I won't have to deal with her anymore and all this poverty that is smelling around you people. Sandra's heart sank. But she didn't respond. She used the money Frank gave her to cover part of the bill. But the doctor soon demanded more for the surgery. Sandra had nothing left. One Saturday morning, Anita called Sandra to join her on a trip to the market, as they usually do. Sandra left the hospital reluctantly and went with Anita, the driver, and the baby. At the mall, Anita handed Sandra her baby boy. Hold him, I'll be back soon. As Anita walked into the mall, an idea formed in Sandra's mind. She played a ringtone on her phone and pretended to answer a call. Okay, ma. Yes, ma. Oh, okay, no problem, ma. Thank you, ma. Musa, oh yeah. Madam Anita said we should go to Balogun Market to pick something from our regular buyer. The driver nodded and drove off. But as they got closer to a bushy area, Musa became uneasy. Is this the right place? Because Balogun is the other way, but you told me to turn to this side, madam. Is everything all right? Sandra didn't answer. When the car stopped, she pulled out a gun she had hidden and knocked Musa out. She found another taxi at the outskirts of the area and fled with the baby. She had gotten the gun from one of the touts that lived in her slum. When Anita came out of the mall, the car, the driver, baby, and Sandra were gone. She screamed and called Frank and the police. 2 days later, they found the car and Musa. Thankfully, they were able to track it. But he had only suffered a concussion, but he was in no condition to speak. That evening, Sandra called Anita. Hello? Hope you can hear me. Yes, very good. I can hear you. Sandra, please. Hey, shut up. Don't beg me. See, right now, what I want you to do, send 500,000 naira to my account. Please, my baby, I don't know if he has eaten. My friend, keep quiet. Do you know how many babies I have raised? When you were out there in the city doing your rubbish, do you know how many babies? My friend, just keep quiet. See, send me 500,000 naira. You know my account number. If you don't send the money, I promise you I will chop off your baby's fingers. I'm sending it now. I'm sending it. Terrified, Anita transferred the money. Sandra immediately sent it to the doctor for Agnes' surgery. Frank was furious. If anything happens to my son, Sandra will rot in jail. A few days later, Sandra demanded more. This time, 100 million naira. She told Anita to bring it to a bush in Lagos outskirts, knowing Anita would involve the police. On the said day, Sandra stood in an uncompleted building, holding the baby and a gun. She laughed as Anita rolled the bag of money towards her. You can have your son back. I know this place is surrounded. I know you are very foolish. I know you will call the police, and I know your husband can hear me. Frank was in the car, furious. Call your husband. Call him. Anita dialed his number and called him. Call him now. I've called him. Frank was listening from a hiding spot. When he came, Oga Frank, welcome. Your wife has something very important to tell you. Are you ready to talk? Or I should shoot the baby? No, I will talk. What is she talking about? No, Oga Frank, calm down. Listen. She has good news to tell you. Talk now. I will shoot this baby. Okay. Frank, Sandra she's my older sister, and Madam Agnes is my mother. See, I'm sorry. It's just that I was just so ashamed. Anita confessed about lying about her parents' death, and how she mistreated Sandra and Agnes, and how she cared only about her image. You know, I did this when I was in the UK. People asked about me, and I didn't want to tell them out from the village. I just needed to make this money and just disassociate myself from poverty and all of it. Please, I'm sorry. The police officers, moved by Sandra's story, lowered their guns. Inspector Aino ordered, "Cease fire!" How could you do this, Anita? To your family? I asked you. I should have suspected. There was some form of resemblance, and when I asked you, you said that it's just a coincidence. Oh my God, how silly I was. Sandra handed the baby to Frank. Oga Frank, your son is safe. I only wanted you to know the truth, and I only wanted to save my mother's life. So, I don't know, do you still want to arrest me? No, I'm not arresting you. Why will I arrest you? I'm not heartless like her. Please, I'm not arresting you. Frank apologized to Sandra and took her to the hospital to see Agnes. He pleaded with Agnes for forgiveness. I should have looked deeper before marrying Anita. I am so sorry, ma. Please, I'm sorry. He prostrated, apologizing. Anita stood outside the hospital, too ashamed to enter. Frank turned to Sandra. You can have the 100 million naira. Start over. I'll help you get an education and set up a business. Sandra refused at first, but accepted after Frank insisted. The next day, Frank packed his things, took his son and left Nigeria. Before leaving, Anita begged him to stay, but he refused. Anita, see, listen, I need time to think. You are wicked. If you can hold your own family, and you played it so well, you deserve an Oscar. You deserve Oscar. Which Oscar? You deserve Oscar and Grammy. If you can hold your own family, my own family is not safe, and I'm not safe with you. No, Frank, I'm sorry. It's not like I wasn't going to tell you. See, don't tell me anything. Don't tell me. Get out of the way. But are you going with my child? I promise you, if you come close to me, you will not like what I will do to you. Anita watched them from a distance, knowing she had lost everything. Her family, her husband, and her pride. Agnes also apologized to Sandra, telling her how sorry she was. She had made a decision based on other people's assumption, and she promised her daughter she was never going to do it again. The two women reconciled and moved on with their lives. If you enjoyed this story, please click the next video showing on your screen. And please don't forget, most importantly, like this video. Give it a thumbs up. It's free and you can subscribe. It is free. I will see you in the next video right here.